When the police show up, young Jewish men fight the police, and a dozen are arrested. And now everyone is saying, what the is going on with secret Jewish tunnels in New York City?
Out of all the theories in the world, one of the biggest ones is that evil people, human traffickers, love to dig holes. They love to burrow. They love to make tunnels. Underground tunnels, tunnels, tunnels. We've heard so much about it. The elites do it to have underground bunkers, etc. There's underground places you can travel, massive complexes. And this story that happened recently is about a small complex. An example, Ted Gunderson, back in the day, he's now dead, he was the head of the FBI. He found underground tunnels in a preschool where Satanists were abusing children. Look that up. They were called the Finders.
In 1987, Tallahassee, Florida police responded to an anonymous phone tip about 6 malnourished children covered in bug bites and scratches being accompanied by 2 well-dressed men in a public park. The 2 men were arrested for child abuse and suspicion of trafficking children across state lines. And so the U.S. Customs Service, the Washington Metropolitan Police Department, and the FBI all got involved. The 2 men arrested had multiple fake IDs and were found to be members of a group known as the Finders. The Finders owned multiple properties in the D.C. area. The investigation of these properties reportedly found evidence of child pornography and photographs of 3 children and 3 white-robed men dismembering 2 goats. The Finders were labeled a satanic cult, and the media sensationalized it for a full week until the investigation was called off. It was reported that the mothers of the children were members of the Finders, and that the 2 men had the full consent of the parents to be transporting them. During this same time period was the McMartin preschool scandal, wherein hundreds of parents reported that their children had suffered satanic sexual abuse at a preschool in Manhattan Beach, California.
And now this recent thing with New York is kind of just bringing it all to light.
Not like this. We don't do that in America.
They found in a synagogue, again, just because they were Jewish doesn't mean we can't talk about it. And just because they were Jewish doesn't mean all Jewish people are bad. Multiple different types of Jews. In the United States, there are 4 main kinds of Jews. This doesn't mean that all Jewish people do this to kids. There have been lawsuits and other claims in the past that they have been doing bad things to kids. And they've even admitted certain things. Back in 2013, Vice did an article with a rabbi who said that literally there's a child sex rape assembly line. And then this has been going on that long and longer. So they literally found soiled mattresses, kid chairs, high chairs, and other strange things underneath this synagogue in which they were burrowing somewhere. So could this possibly be the tip of the iceberg? Who knows? I dug up some clips. They pretty much cover the whole thing. Check this out.
A riot broke out at a New York synagogue after Orthodox Jews tried to resist work to eliminate illegal tunnels dug under their building. Reportedly, the tunnels may have led to an abandoned women's ritual bath or were dug to expand the synagogue. Even though the synagogue leadership were the ones who called contractors to fill the tunnels with cement, some parishioners opposed this. Several young Jews vandalized the synagogue in an attempt to confront the construction workers, and the police were called and were eventually arrested.
You may have seen the viral footage from a synagogue in New York today. A group of Orthodox Jewish men went head-to-head with construction workers that were employed to fill in a network of underground tunnels. Secret underground tunnels. There's so much conspiracy surrounding this footage. So let's try and clear up what's actually going on. The tunnels were discovered last month at the Chabad Lubavitch world headquarters. By the way, Chabad Lubavitch is an ultra-Orthodox sect of the Jewish religion.
It seems as though the ultra-Orthodox can often disagree with each other, with some even running into the tunnels to protect them. In this clip, we see a young Orthodox Jewish man climbing out of a hole in the pavement outside the building and then running away. 10 people were arrested by the New York Police Department, and the synagogue has since been closed.
There was basically a riot in the synagogue, and without explanation, the confusion around this footage has literally taken over the internet. So, here's everything we know about this story so far.
It's unclear clear why the tunnels were created. The website Forward claims that the tunnels were dug to expand the 770 building.
What is Chabad Lubavitch? It's an Orthodox Jewish Hasidic group that originated in Russia, and it's one of the largest Hasidic groups in the world. Hasidic Judaism is an Orthodox Jewish movement that emerged in the 18th century. The word Hasidism literally means religious ones. Hasidic Jewish men often wear white shirts and black overcoats, and they might also wear hats depending on which group they belong to. Chabad men, for instance, wear black fedora hats. Hasidic Jewish women wear modest clothing that covers their knees, collarbone and elbows. According to one estimate, there are up to 17,000 Chabad Lubavitch households across the world, making up 13% of the global Hasidic population.
Headquarters. The building was purchased by an organisation representing the Chabad Lubavitch in the 1940s and has since become a key location for the movement as a synagogue.
We're going to talk about this craziness involving ultra-Orthodox Jews, secret tunnels, and the NYPD. Because as it turns out, in the middle of one of the biggest cities in the world, you got these secret tunnels. And specifically, the group that we're talking about is the Chabad Lubavitch community, which is actually the largest Hasidic group of Jews in the world. And also, what we've seen online is this whole tunnel situation leading to many, many conspiracy theories online. Unsurprisingly, many of them just anti-Semitic in general. But the reality here appears to be far simpler, where a subsect of Chabad was just trying to connect with their main synagogue to a closed-down Jewish bathhouse for women in order to expand it. And the tunnel was actually discovered late last year when you had neighbors saying, hey, I hear weird sounds coming from the ground. And then city plumbing crews laying new lines discovered it. So obviously, the authorities not thrilled. Or there's a lot of reasons not to be pumped about a secret tunnel underneath the city and buildings. The first being their concerns that it could destabilize the buildings above it, which is one of the reasons you had construction crews there to try to fill in the tunnel. A situation that was then made worse because of members of the Chabad movement. They started acting out, they started messing with the concrete pouring equipment. Some of their people even decided to make their way into the tunnels to try and stop the crews from doing their work, but then the police eventually having to be called in, which is when they then clashed with young men both inside and outside of the building. That then leading to arrests, though it's not clear how many exactly. But we do know that at least 10 got criminal misdemeanor charges. And as of recording, it appears that construction crews have been able to get back to work. And if you've seen any footage from the scene, it's clear that defacing might be understating it. Right beyond the tunnel, these young Jewish men were doing things like tearing down wood paneling, destroying bricks, and throwing pews around in anger.
So this whole situation is pretty crazy, and it really gets complicated when you look at things like the ADL, which is literally the Jewish coalition that controls so many things. It's strange. And if you say anything bad about them, you get hammered on hard. Like if you're famous, you basically lose all your funding. Anyways, the ADL says that people always use anti-Semitics and people who hate Jewish people, they always use the cement truck as a symbol to make fun of the Jews because they all say that the Jewish people dig. And it's just very strange that they post that and claim that that is crazy and racist when they actually clearly do this. Not all Jewish people, but definitely a decent amount of people, Jewish people, actually do this. It's also crazy that some Jewish people, I'm not sure if it's Orthodox, I think it is the Orthodox, they actually do a specific thing to kids after they circumcise them, babies, and they put their mouth on the genitals to suck the blood off. That's real. What are you doing? Pulling yourself away from this in the Jewish aspect and stepping back, you can see that now clearly the Jewish aspect of everything is about to flare up, and it's seeming a lot like Nazi Germany. With all the COVID restrictions, and now we have the Jewish aspect flaring up, all we need is another pandemic, and we literally have another Holocaust. Just be ready for that. Another thing about the Holocaust, it wasn't just Jewish people that were killed. Polish people, a bunch of other people were killed, but only Jews were talked about. That is absolutely true. Figure it out, look it up. So that means that they could potentially kill all of us along with the Jews, and then in the future, just say it was just Jewish people and we'll all be erased. That could have been what happened in the Holocaust. And according to my research, look it up. So the whole thing with Israel going on at the same time, look what it's doing to people in New York. They're ripping down kidnapped flyers, people kidnapped in Israel. I'm not sure why they're ripping them down.
looks like. People scraping these down because they don't believe in. They don't believe that these people were kidnapped, I guess.
These are ripping posters down. These are innocent civilians in Israel.
Fuck you, fuck Israel, bitch.
What?
Fuck you.
These are our family members. We have family there.
Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you too, bitch. Fuck you. And Israel.
Don't rip down these posters.
Just keep in mind this whole thing could definitely flare up and be a bigger situation than we could have ever seen coming. The people of Nazi Germany had no idea what was coming until it happened. Keep that in mind.
Heard of the Las Vegas mole people?
Recently, when you told me about it.
So the Las Vegas mole people are homeless people who live in the currently 500 miles of unmapped sewer system underneath the hotels in Las Vegas.
There's like a whole society under there and everything.
There is a society, there is a king, they have their own laws, and it's rumored that once you go down far enough, they have their own languages.
What?
There's people who live down there who have never seen the light of day.
That's only one of over 100 underground cities. They just found it within the last 80 years. There was a guy in an apartment that was doing a project on his house in that part of Turkey, and he collapsed a wall and literally found an entrance to the largest underground city on Earth. Oops.
How did they build something like that?
These people knew that these events were so catastrophic they could wipe out their entire civilization. So they created the most elaborate group of underground cities in the world, creating air shafts, areas to even bring animals down, areas for sleeping, areas for schools. They carved the entire thing by hand. It could house over 20,000 people. At the entrance to this entire city, they have this massive multi-ton stone. They would roll in front of the door and seal the entire underground area for sometimes, you ready for this? Hundreds of years.
Black Hawk, South Dakota. A homeowner finds a sinkhole in front of his house. He's trying to call officials to come out and take a look at it, but it's April 2020, so he's having a hard time for anyone to come out, which is probably why you never heard this on the news, because something else was on the news 24/7. But look at the size of this thing. Officials finally come out and take a look. The sinkhole keeps getting bigger and bigger. They finally come out. They fence the thing off. Something huge is happening. What do they find? You're not going to believe it. Tunnels and tunnels and tunnels. It's an old mine. South Dakota, the state knew about it, and they never disclosed it when they sold this to a developer. The developer bought the property and they started building houses on it. Look at this. They found a freaking car in there. Tunnels in there. All these houses, this huge community. The properties are worthless. Look at this. That's where the mine is at. You never know what it's under your feet.
今天我就来看一看台上的视频，胆小的预判啊，自己来分析一下。这一头这有小孩在抱着，使劲给他看点细节啊！我去，被人把人泡过之后，这里面可能渗水呀啥的，全是水，过期的福尔马林就是水啊！哇！有没得？我去！注意细节，兄弟们，这味儿有。